What's good, YouTube? It's King K back again with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the current situation in Toronto. For those of you that might be thinking about moving to Toronto, or for those of you that haven't really been up to date about what's happening in Toronto. There's been a lot since my last video. I believe I made a video about roughly 2 years ago about what it's like living in Toronto, and I made follow-up videos about living in Toronto and the things I like and the things I dislike about living in Toronto. And it almost seems like more and more, especially after the pandemic, there's been more cons to living in Toronto than pros. And you hear so many people complaining about the current situation of living in Toronto. We're talking about like the rent. We're talking about how inflation has really destroyed a lot of things that we would enjoy for a lot cheaper in the past. Toronto was already an expensive city, so for us to be in a situation right now where we're experiencing an inflation, the situation is rather dire. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of people that are moving to other provinces, Montreal. I know people that are moving to Alberta. I know people that are moving to the States. People that are moving back to Africa. I know people that are moving to parts of Europe. Also, actually, people moving to Mexico. So it's been crazy. Like a lot of my friends are moving out. It's already, it's already tough, making friends here. So it's like the situation that we're seeing ourselves in, where there's a huge exodus out of Toronto, is making things a little bit more complicated. Okay, don't get me wrong. There's a few people that are also moving to Toronto because people always I think are going to keep moving to Toronto because that's really all they hear about or all they know about Canada. But we have to now tell them that there are more places to explore in Canada to avoid the overpopulation of Toronto, which I think is already a thing. We're starting the video off with the rent situation. Now, I was looking at the news the other day, and they were talking about how the inflation has increased rent by 43% in the last year alone. Okay, so I did a practice, or rather I did an experiment with this, and I phoned some rental companies over the summer to find out how much the cost of one bedrooms were in the not so busy parts of the city. I'm talking about places like Weston and Finch, talking about some places in Scarborough, talking about some places in Vaughan. And the average cost of a one bedroom was, I believe, in the summer, I'm going to say roughly 3 months ago, $1,750. That was the average price of a one bedroom unit, a one bedroom apartment. But as of today, I am pleased, or maybe not so pleased, to tell you that a one bedroom in those same areas have risen by at least $300. So right now you're seeing costs of one bedroom in the West End and some places in the East going up to $2,000 or $2,500 in some cases in condos. And it's really, really appalling, because then you start to realize that the income doesn't really match the rent anymore, because the minimum wage is currently, I believe, $15 an hour. So you have somebody earning $15 an hour, multiply that by 40, say they work full time, you multiply that by 4 weeks, which is 4 weeks in a month, and you really start to see where the chunk of their money is going towards rent. That is, if they're not sharing their unit, or if they don't have a partner, or a boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever romantic partner that they live with, or a roommate, which they can then split the rent. But if it's a single person living in Toronto and they are looking to afford a one bedroom apartment right now, I'm not talking about people that got it last year or people that got it like maybe earlier this year. I'm talking about people right now. If you're thinking of moving, it's a bit of a stretch, I would say, because they got you locked in wherever you are right now. So if you're not in a good place right now, then it's quite unfortunate. And you see a lot of people that moved out already and haven't found a place are kind of displaced right now, living with friends or, squatting with other people because they're trying to get their bread right, or they're still looking for a place, because that's another thing in Toronto. There's a lot of competition. So you see a place that is slightly cheaper than other places, that place is gone in a matter of days, if at all. Same day it's listed, it's gone because people are on it. People are jumping on it. People need places to stay. So the cheaper it is, the quicker it goes. But even the expensive units, you're starting to see that those even go by pretty fast. They list it in a couple of days, it's gone because people, two, three people don't mind sharing a one bedroom just because they need a place to crash or just because they need a place to stay right now. So they put the money together and get a one bedroom or two bedroom. You know, you find more than one person these days living in a one bedroom apartment, as opposed to 5, 6, 7 years ago where, you know, things were a little bit more stable and, you know, you could see one person living in a one bedroom comfortably without really stressing too much about the rent. I mean, even then, a lot of people would stress about the rent, but you can imagine, I believe in 2017, the average price for a one bedroom was, I believe, $950 to $1,000. Okay, $950 to $1,000, and now you're seeing prices go from that range to $2,000 right now. So you're seeing pretty much double a one bedroom cost from 2017 till now, which is about 5 years. So 5 years ago till now, the prices have doubled. So I'm not even talking about two bedrooms. I'm not talking about three bedrooms because you ought to know that you're looking at over $2,700 for, you know, a 2 or 3 bedroom. You know what I mean? So it's like the bare necessity right now. Well, what a lot of people is getting a one bedroom, or now you see a lot more people going for the bachelor or the studio or the loft type apartment. You know what I mean? Because those tend to be slightly cheaper than the one bedroom, but it depends on what the taste is and what the pocket is saying. But it really is crazy to be living in times like this where rent alone is taking a huge chunk of your paycheck. Now then you got to talk about car payments. If you have a car, talk about gas prices are over the roof. You talk about insurance, car insurance. It depends on where you live in Toronto. But generally, the car insurance in Toronto and the GTA is higher than a lot of other places in the province or in the country. You know what I mean? So you add in all those things together, you're starting to see that there is a huge gap between disposable income and how much people are actually earning, right? It's crazy right now. So you tend to also see that a lot of people are still moving to Toronto because, you know, Toronto is what people really be talking about. That's where the vibe is. That's where the culture, you know, has been for a long time. That's where the music really is. That's where, you know, the movies, the premieres, the concerts are mostly done. But don't get me wrong, these things are also done in other provinces. Okay. As you know, like I've had the privilege to travel around a little bit in Canada. Been to Alberta, been to a few places in Alberta, been to Montreal, been to some places in Quebec, been to Ottawa, been to, you know, a few places in Ontario. And I can tell you, there are things happening in these places as well. And these places are a lot cheaper than Toronto. So you really start to see now that a lot of people are migrating out of Toronto, which is not something that's been the case in, you know, before 5 years. But there's a huge exodus of people now going to other parts of Canada. So it's kind of like spreading. And as those people leave, obviously more people coming to Toronto. The Toronto real estate market is also crazy right now. A lot of people, a lot of millennials are not able to afford properties in Toronto. So you find them going to buy places outside of Toronto, or find them going to buy places in Alberta, which is really the hot place right now to go get properties, or Montreal. A lot of people are doing that. And one thing I've realized as well is that the more the prices really drive up in Toronto, the lower the quality of services, the lower the quality of goods, the quality of the experience, the living in Toronto experience has just really been, you know, a letdown in the last, you know, few years, especially since the pandemic and after the pandemic. Things are just not the same. Things are not the same in the clubbing industry. Things are not the same in the restaurant industry. Things are not the same generally when it comes to events and when it comes to concerts. The vibe is just not there. It's not the same. And we're coming out of a pandemic. We're coming out of a place where a lot of people went through a lot. A lot of people lost things, lost properties, lost lives, lost people they love. And now we have to deal with this inflation that's going on. We have to deal with the recession that is happening, I believe, would I say globally right now? There's a huge recession that is pretty much happening, and it's just been crazy. Um, Coupled with that, like, we already were facing a situation where like Toronto was already uh, a place where it was difficult to find or to really have concrete friends or people that you say you could say you've been friends with for a very long time, or 10 years or 20 years. It's really hard to find those type of people because there's just so many options, so many people. So like, people don't really have time to build on relationships like that, or people are always busy, people are always doing their thing. And if you're not really part of their circle, it's really hard for you to get into that circle because people already have established circles, and people are kind of like scared to take chances on new people because they don't really, if they don't know you like that, they're not really trying to put you in their circle, unless it so happens that they gravitate towards you or they just got love for you like that. So it's like it's already a place like that. So now there's more of a um there's more of a drive in people to be more busy. I said this in my other video about things, about moving to Toronto, where people are super busy in Toronto. So it's hard for people to even navigate social lives or linking up with people, meeting people, going out, super hard. So it's like now a lot of people that I know have no choice but to get two sources of income, two jobs, which was not really as common before the pandemic, that people had two jobs or two sources of income or more than two, three sources of incomes. Now it's like almost a necessity because that's the only way you can really afford the bills. Like the bills just keep piling up. So if you don't have the sources of income coming in, or you're not making money from, a certain type of way, then it's really hard for you to try to pay the bills. It's really hard for you to try to keep afloat. Okay. Now, don't let me get started on, the winter. Winter is coming, and, people have gotten like, more than one job. Sometimes, working from home kind of helps. Some people have like work from home jobs and then they got to go, to another job in person, or they have two work from home jobs so they can simultaneously work. But you just have a lot going on, and, the winter's coming and everybody is just kind of anxious. Everybody is just, we don't know where the economy is going. We don't know where the politics is going. We don't know where nothing is going. But we're all just, holding on and trying to keep afloat and just seeing where things go, because realistically, like, all you can really do is increase your source of income or increase your income generally, because the prices are not going down anytime soon. The prices are continuously going up. So it's like you really got to just stay working. And I feel like that is the trap that Toronto kind of has, where you're stuck because you have bills to pay, you got work. So it's like you can't even really take vacations. You can't really go places that you want to go. You don't really have that much of disposable income. So it's like you're always having to work to make things work. Okay, so a lot of people that I know that moved to Calgary, a lot of people that I know that, kind of like are checking other parts of Canada out or moving out of the country, they're a lot more stable. They're a lot more financially stable as well, because they're spending less in terms of cost and probably making the same, or they're making more, because they're moving out to other opportunities out there. They're not just necessarily stuck in Toronto. So you have all kinds of people and all kinds of situations that are going on right now. But all in all, people are looking for what works for them, because things are very hard right now, and people are just looking for hope wherever they find it. People are just looking for peace of mind. All right, to be honest, like, people are looking for peace of mind because it's been crazy out here. Okay, we just survived a pandemic. So it's like you don't need to tell people anymore, hey, like, you go look for greener pastures where it's at. Nah, like, people are looking. Like, I wonder how many searches people are making right now on Google: how to move out of Toronto, how to move out of Canada, where to go right now, where it's popping right now outside of Canada. There's a huge exodus of people. I know a few people right now that are living it up in Mexico. You know what I mean? Shout out to those of you that went to Mexico for a bit and they're like, no, I'm done with this. I'm done with the winter. I'm going away for a bit. I'm just going to figure things out. I'm going to go teach English in some other country. I'm going to go do something else in another country. Or like, I'm just going to move to Alberta where things are a bit cheaper and kind of find my footing. I have an online job so I can like work from wherever. I could work remotely. So I'm going to be gone for a bit, or I'm never coming back. A lot of people are like, I'm never coming back to Toronto except to visit, and maybe even not, because it's not really popping like that. It's not really giving the vibes that it used to give. You know what I mean? Toronto is not as it's not as amazing as Toronto used to be. Like when I first came to Toronto 10 years ago, man, Toronto was really up there. Like, you know what I mean? Like Toronto was really up there in terms of like experiences, in terms of people, in terms of, I don't know, maybe it's also because I was a little bit younger, but it was just more exciting. Now all I think about is bills, 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 and winter time. And okay, I need to be on this next level of hustle. That's just all I be thinking about. I'm not really here to have fun anymore, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Like Toronto is supposed to be a fun place. Like even if you're working, you're supposed to be able to enjoy your money, but there's not even like quality for your money anymore, and there's no what do you call it? No bang for your buck. You know what I mean? Like you can spend $100, $200 going out, and you might not even have fun, and it's just a waste of your money, a waste of your time. So it's like it's really not as amazing as it used to be, and I'm hoping things circle back and things change for the better. But I'm not really like I'm not gonna hold my breath on that because there's other places to explore. So when you really get tired of Toronto, ain't nothing stopping you from checking somewhere else out. You know what I mean? That's where variety is the spice of life. You don't like it somewhere, try somewhere else. You know what I mean? And if you like it enough to stay, then good luck to you, because I think it gets harder. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a while before like we stabilize again and like, people are back to a balanced level, because just coming out of a pandemic into an inflationary period, into a recession, people still don't have their jobs back from being lost in a pandemic. It's just crazy right now. Everybody is hungry and hustling, and it's just a crazy time really to be alive and to be out here in Toronto or in Canada. So that's where we find ourselves at. I'm wishing everybody well. I'm wishing everybody like health and wealth. I'm wishing everybody like peace of mind. So go wherever you find it. You know what I mean? There's places to explore. Life is short. Don't get trapped. Don't fall for the trap of Toronto and think that you're just gonna stay here and never go check nowhere else out. Travel, go places, see the world if you need to. But the most important thing, get the bag. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's King K here. I'll see you in the next video. All right, stay tuned.